The question is, how can inner work help to make the world a better place? And it's a good question. And it's one of those questions that keeps people away from inner work, because they think it's more valid to do outer work, or activist work in the outer world to save it, to change it, to make the world a better place, something like this. And it's not my way. I've always felt that what's obvious about outer activism is throughout my life and throughout the century I was born in, as far as I can tell, and I don't know if you would agree, but the outer world didn't get better, in spite of some wonderful interference, some wonderful activism, some wonderful beings who took a interest and dedicated their lives, many people, and who still do. And if that's your way, I'm not here to argue you out of it or to make you change your mind, because I couldn't anyway. The point I want to make is the world is clearly, it seems, again, I would offer this to you. I'm not trying to convince you of anything or inculcate this idea, but it's very dark. These are dark, unloving times. This isn't a world that I would choose. This isn't a world which is full of compassion and kindness and understanding and so on. Of course, there's pockets where we could deny that statement, and there's goodness in human beings and wonderful qualities and all of that. But looking at the international situation and the state of the world as it is, it was dark around the time I was born in the middle of last century, and it's darker still now. And I think you'll find it will be darker again in the future, and then even darker after that. What it means is my grandchildren won't be living in a place which is full of beauty and love and so on. It will be a place that would be unrecognisable for me, probably as much as today's modern society will be unrecognisable to the adults, the teachers, the people who taught me and brought me up. So the reality of the situation is, it's not good. The world is not progressing into some sort of heavenly place, or some place where everyone's cared for, or some place where there is an intelligent distribution of resources and all of this. And we know this when you see it, and when you start to look at how much we spend on war, or how much we spend on defence, or even space travel, which may or may not be partly necessary. And then we have how many tens of thousands of people suffering, you see. Many around the world. And could we, hang on a minute, coming, and could we solve all these world problems? Well, yes, we have the resources if we all put our minds and our hearts together to solve all of the difficulties which world population is presently experiencing, and even deal with a lot of the ecological issues that are going on. So what is the importance of inner work in relationship to this? Well, firstly, anybody who progresses in inner work is a model for what can happen inside people to free themselves, to achieve liberation, to make a connection with the heart. And these things are surely undeniable in the sense that they're undeniably of benefit. If you look at a single person who has attained a higher level of awareness and awakening through inner work, you'd be surprised at how many people their lives have influenced for the good, positively. It's many more than we think. And I sometimes sit with people who are doubting that, and I say, well, there's your spouse, there's your children, there's this and that. Before you know it, we're in double figures heading towards treble figures. It's quite easy then to have, through your attainments and your success in inner work, it's quite possible for you to have an effect on the world at large, albeit quite localized. But what I would say from a spiritual point of view is we're not overly interested in affecting the world at large. We're not activists as such. Having said that, some spiritual people, some spiritual organisations are involved with activism. But we see, at least in the Centre for Human Awakening and my work, The Way of Sacred Attention, that spirituality should be prized, honoured, reverenced in and of itself, for itself, and it's most important. It is to say, in common parlance, that the devotion is to God, not to that which the human being has created and making it better in some kind of a way. It could well be that at this time in human evolution there is simply a downturning, an atrophying of conditions that will yield in time a greater beauty, a greater magnificence, once more a golden era perhaps. So if you look at it that way, who are we to interfere with the progress of the eons, or to stand in judgment of the present conditions in an elevated sense, as if we know what's going on in world destiny? It's hard enough to know what's going on in our individual destiny. So we're all different. My work is in the psychospiritual area, and I'm devoted to individual development because I believe that is at the heart of what happens in the outside and in the collective world. I believe that the insights of individuals have led to all kinds of wonderful inventions and conditions of life that we didn't have before, and they started as ideas, or they started as inner objects or inner appearances in the psyche, in the hearts and minds of individual people. Now, if enough individual people awaken in the heart, why wouldn't we have a more heart-dwelling, heart-indwelling, bigger picture in the world? In the meantime, I think it's for us to remember or realize that it's rare to be interested enough to practice psychospiritual ways, and it affords no benefit to the individual separate self. And in my view, the self-identification of the individual in separation and division is right at the heart of everything that's wrong with the world. If we realize that we are the world and the world is us, then what nasty things would we do to ourselves?